Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are having the most wonderful days. As always, my name is Leaf, and it's so great that you guys are able to join me today as we check out what kind of madness I got into today. So, this is available on the workshop. You should be able to find it in the description down below. So I was on the Reddit the other day. I know, very sad place. But I was on Reddit the other day, and I was kind of just looking around and seeing what people have been talking about, and some person suggested, hey, with the new cinematic tool, how come no one's made the Zoo Tycoon 2 intro yet? And I was like, you know what, that doesn't sound like a half bad idea. Let's see how good it would work. It works very well. I feel like back in the day, everyone tried their best to recreate this in Zoo Tycoon itself. It seems like my audio levels are a little out of whack. I'm gonna turn them down a little bit. That's my apologies. But it seemed like everyone back in the day would try their best to kind of recreate it. But they never really could because we didn't really have the tools in Zoo Tycoon 2. So essentially for this one, I wanted to say, you know what? What happens if we make the Planet Zoo version of this? And that means we use a lot more foliage, make it look a lot better. I'm not going too crazy with all the custom stuff in here. I do use a whole bunch of stuff from the workshop. If I find the person who is responsible for these, if I kind of just, Planet Zoo, I'll let you guys know once I actually do find it. But yeah, that's essentially it. So I use the restaurant from... Oh gosh, where did they go? Oh, this is awkward. Either way, I use a restaurant from the workshop, which works out extremely well. I believe their name is Stormcrow. Stormcrow it is. So I kind of use that, and actually no, I use it from Dr. Hobbit. I do use some Stormcrow stuff too. These two creators have recreated pretty much any Zoo Tycoon or Zoo Tycoon 2 item that you could want in the game. And it's just incredible. However, I still wanted to come in here and make my own custom assets. So I do end up doing the ticket booth. I thought that was kind of a fun little challenge to do. So you can see I'm working a lot with these Indonesian bricks. Again, such a godsend of a piece. We really did need flexi-color bricks, and these are perfect for that. So you can see I'm having a lot of fun with that, having a lot of fun with like these trim pieces. And yeah, just trying to make this as best as I can. And try and recreating it as best as I can as well, just to make sure it feels a little bit more accurate. So I laid down some of those benches over there. I tried my best to kind of go through the intro video and pick apart some very specific things in here. Of course, there are some things that really don't work out too well, like those big statues on the entrance. We don't really have the proper head statues or something for those. So instead of doing that, I actually opt to use like normal statues from the base game. So there's a gorilla, a tiger, and a elephant. And you can see we use some of the concrete statues right there, and then we also use that elephant head, like the wooden one. I thought that was kind of cute. And then putting in the layout of the park itself, it's very simple. Again, it's one of those Zoo Tycoon builds, so you're not really going for elevations, you're not really going for all of that kind of stuff, but you are going for vibes. This is exactly what like a child would draw a zoo as, just enclosure after enclosure, no space in between to breathe. It's fun. I like it. So I wanted to get started over here by doing some quick work of making like the crocodile habitat and the hippo habitat, which they actually share. That's very cool. I remember you could actually do that back in the day. That was always so fun to do. But they are a separate enclosure, so keep that in mind if you are playing in here. They also had these little trees dotting the way, so I made sure to include those. I gotta go back. Sorry about that. I gotta go back in here actually right now and kind of fix up those paths, because those are using Hexabit's modded path, and I want to make sure that anyone can actually utilize this park and kind of explore it in their own degree. Right over here there is a little bit of a stand, so I included like a little keeper, not keeper, but kind of like a vendor right there, just to make sure that someone's manning it, because if I recall correctly, back in the day in Zoo Tycoon 2 you would have like the gift shop stands, and the kind of staff would not leave from there at all. So we made sure that the staff wasn't able to leave from here at all. Yeah, very easy right there. So you can see I'm working a lot with the mud pillars to get this very precise fence. This is kind of like the iron fence. I feel like everyone used this one because it was the best looking fence in the game. But you can see I'm lining it up with the rest of the pieces in here, and I think I do a somewhat good job with it. I mean, it's nothing really too crazy, and plus they were kind of blocky anyways back in the day, so you would never get like a perfect curve. However, I think it works very well for our purposes over here, and I get started with the habitat itself. One of the things I noticed in the kind of intro is that there's a lot of papyrus bushes in here. Back in the day, I would use them, but in Planet Zoo nowadays, I would really never use them. It's just so strange to me. But they are super beautiful, so this build actually reminded me that they exist, and I will be using them a lot more in the future. So that's just very cool to see. Adding the rest of the foliage in here as well, it was a little difficult to kind of gauge apart what these habitats really looked like, because the little intro scene goes way too damn quick. So I kind of had to use some of my imagination, fill in the gaps a little bit. I know there's a bit of a rock wall behind there, but I'm sure that you guys won't tell anyone if I don't say anything. So that's something to keep in mind right there, but I really had a lot of fun with that. I didn't want to do a custom map in here, so I used this one. I believe that one is from Pond Shrimp from way back in the day. And here are those little handy-dandy restaurants by, if I can find it correctly, Dr. Hobbit. So I essentially turned one into kind of like a gift shop. I turned the other one into the restaurant. And there is another one kind of tucked away in the corner that you'll see in a little bit. Right now I'm getting to work on the actual zebra habitat. When I was recreating this on stream, I stream in like the various Discord servers and whatnot around the community. Someone, someone actually said, I love the part where the kid is just laughing at the zebra and the zebra gets angry. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, that's actually quite hilarious. It's probably my favorite part too. So I have that in there. Unfortunately, and this is like my biggest complaint when it comes to this entire build, is that, oh my god, like, I wish we could schedule animals to kind of, make their moves and kind of like, you know, act on command, because it's so like disheartening to have like all these lovely little kind of like, you know, little areas, these little scenes, and then your animals kind of just like don't do what they're supposed to do. I wish you could kind of schedule that up, cue that up with triggers. Hey, Planet Zoo, that's a free update idea, right? You please add the triggers. But I wish we could actually do that when it comes to that stuff, because I feel like that would be so fun, especially given the fact that, like, I don't know, I feel like that would be just a really fun way to incorporate the train system, like the, whatever you call it, the transport system, as well as kind of like, you know, all the other stuff, like the new cinematic tool. I think that would be fun. Getting off on a little bit of a tangent right there. I do apologize. But you can see I'm still working on this habitat over here, very much in line with the zebra one. We're building for the black rhino, which we have officially. Again, we are seeing Zoo Tycoon Theory in its kind of end stages, so hopefully soon we could start to get like the Markhor and stuff. But it was really a challenge for these habitats in particular, because this is one thing that people always ask for in Planet Zoo that we don't have right now, is multiple terrain brushes. That is something that Zoo Tycoon did, but Planet Zoo currently does not have the capability of doing. Believe me, we've tried. But yeah, you can see what I'm doing over here is just lining up the rest of the habitats. They're very much like bear pits in a way that they're just big concrete slabs. So it was kind of my goal to space out where each one started and where each one ended. You can see I actually did not have enough room for the elephants over there. In fact, if I were to redo this, I would push that entire path back a little bit more, because it does go off a little bit too far, but honestly, it works in game, so why would I complain? So you can see I start to add that stuff over there. And of course we have these cold weather animals, again with the biome palette. So I had to add some coolers in there for like the first time in probably like years since I've used them. But I add that stuff in there and it looks all fine and dandy. And I make the whole thing one null habitat. So you'll see me struggling with that a lot as we kind of go through here. Just moving animals back to where they're supposed to go. That's a little tough. So you can see right here, I do these kind of like flagpole things. I'm pretty sure that's what these are supposed to be, but there really isn't a flag on them, so it's kind of confusing. But I add like these little divots in here, kind of like as it shows in the game. So I don't know, it was just very fun to put that together. I don't know, enjoyed it. So you can see I add those right there, put them on both sides, and then I get to work on the actual habitats themselves. I spared you guys kind of like the boring details of moving the animals into the habitats, but instead I get to work on the habitats themselves. So these monkey bars are very synonymous with the Zoo Tycoon. I feel like everyone threw these in their primate enclosures just to see their monkeys kind of like swim around. Not swim around, what am I saying? Swing around. So I throw that stuff in there. And one of the things I did want to include over here were some different kind of like biome paints and stuff like that. So I kind of use like a lot more sand, a lot more dirt and stuff, just to help keep the stuff a little bit more active, help it gauge a little bit more interest as you're looking at the habitats. I also used the elephant grass for like the first time in a very long time as a way to help keep the animals in a certain place. Because back in the day, if you had a null path and you wanted animals to stay in like a certain area, you would kind of close them in with the elephant grass. It has this huge hitbox where animals aren't able to escape it, and it works super well for those purposes. So you can see I'm really struggling with moving these animals back into place, and you'll see a lot of that as we kind of make our way throughout the speed build. Luckily, there really isn't too much left. But you can see right over here, I'm kind of playing with that. You might notice that my elephant grass will look a little bit different. I was changing the color on it, but it doesn't look like that in the final product. So you can see I moved the main bowl into position. And again, I feel so sad that we don't get those like perfect animations. Maybe soon I could go back and redo it, but I don't know. I'm very interested to see how you guys see it. I did it for the penguins too, but I kind of blocked them in both with the grass and some rocks as a way to help gauge these guys to like the front of the habitat where they usually always are. What do I mean usually? It's the same video over and over again. So I include that kind of stuff right there. The same thing with the polar bears. I just make sure that they're not really able to escape, which works. I mean, hey, if it works, why not use it, you know? I do a little bit of stuff off camera, unfortunately. I do change the paths. Yeah, I do change the paths. So don't worry about that. And I do a lot of like foliage work behind the scenes just to help make this whole diorama feel like it's meant to be here. And make it feel like it's a lot less empty. So I do kind of that stuff right there. They also had some enrichment in these habitats, which was really fun to see. So I included a whole bunch of that stuff just to make sure that these animals at least have something to play with. And yeah, that's really it. I also do these large Arctic walls for these kind of colder habitats because, again, different biome paints meant that you could have like different kind of like colors in your habitats, and that's something I kind of miss, but I'm honestly happy with the way that Planet Zoo handles biomes. I think it works so much better for like my purposes for realism, but of course if we had more options it would be so much better, right guys? I'm not gonna lie. So you can see I add those acacia trees in the back because those were very synonymous with Zoo Tycoon. And I add a few different temperate trees as well, some bamboo to like the panda habitat, and I decided to dress up the back of that penguin habitat and the polar bear habitat just to make it feel at least a little bit more cohesive. It felt very boring at that. But here we are at the end. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll let it play again for you guys so you can kind of watch it. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I can't wait to see you all in the next one. Take care, and bye-bye.